programs, visiontv.co.uk, and click on the link, then NTA. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Excitement in the air as Nigerians await the opening of the second Niger Bridge. Nigerian digital technology startups place the country on the technology world map as the just concluded Gulf Information Technology Exhibition in Dubai. Plus, rising cases of mental illness in Edo State, a great concern for health practitioners. Many thanks for joining us on this week's edition of The Correspondents. We have stories that will educate, inform and excite you as usual. I am Tessie Umiri. You're welcome. We begin the program on a cheery note. For commuters plying the Niger Bridge, hope is rising that very soon the challenge of traffic gridlock on the bridge will become history. This is because another project is standing tall above the River Niger, and that is the second Niger Bridge, expected to bridge traffic gaps between Anambra, the light of the nation, and Big Heart, Delta State. Correspondent NTA Fineface examines the prospects of succor from the new bridge for the entire southeast and beyond.
It could be a nightmare traveling on the first Niger Bridge. People say they spend hours, sometimes days, on the road at the peak of traveling season. This explains the excitement and great expectations they have about the second Niger Bridge.
As they go slow, this bridge itself, motor too much for this bridge. It will affect the bridge. And now the cost go slow here. May they help us. May they help us do that the other bridge. You know, if they finish that bridge now, this place go there free.
You know, say we don't like that. We like second Niger Bridge, but you don't delay too much. But I believe that because of this water, because the gate road where they say they won't put for that side. But now water don't cover that side. Maybe after that water then we put that road. From our side, Edo State now reach here now. It's almost 4 hours. 4 hours. Okay, at the end of the day, I just reach from Abrata, I don't know what they call it, Abrata to here to Tupa Junction. I spent more than 5 hours this morning. So the people in the that area, it's very, very okay. We like it.
Sitting beside the famous Niger Bridge, linking Asaba and Onitsha, is the second Niger Bridge, said to be a legacy project designed to ease the motoring public of years of difficulties commuting between Delta and Anambra states. Measuring a total of 11.9 kilometers, the second Niger Bridge project comprises a main bridge that is 1.6 kilometers long and 30.1 meters wide. The project has 3 secondary bridges, 2 in Anambra and 1 in Delta State. A 3.3 kilometers approach road adjoins the bridge in Delta, and another approach of 7 kilometers runs into Anambra State.
The stanchions are already in place. The cross beams are in place. Very soon, the roofing material will be brought to site and installed. Then you can see the progress is in place. You see, we have street lights on top. Underneath the bridge, we are going to have lighting as well to illuminate the navigation channels.
It is fitted with street lights, 3 navigational channels measuring 150 meters wide and 15.8 meters in height at high tide.
Unlike when they use hold up, people no longer move. So goods and services are somehow short in demand. So when there is this second Niger Bridge, there will be free movement, and when there is free movement, there is everything, everybody is happy.
This one now, we have movement because people that are going to Bosi, going to Port Harcourt, they don't have any business with the first bridge. Everybody enter this one. And even this second Niger Bridge is going to bring development to these close communities.
The tolling point, a significant feature of the project, is topic for discussion among motorists.
They are put on. Is they okay now? But make the road all right. How much for toll gate? You don't know how much now we go to spend here. If they do toll gate, is very nice now, no problem. I think toll gate do it before.
The part when I want to know, because as I know like that toll gate, somebody like me I know like that toll gate. Let me say toll gate, but I know like people they stay there, say that they collect money, but then go still cost code up there.
The toll gate is okay, very very okay. When they just finish the second road now,
work is in progress. The contractor certain of timely completion, and Nigerians await eagerly with great expectation the opening of the new Niger Bridge to derive the promise of succor it holds in stock.
It is indeed a promise of succor. I can imagine how commuters will feel when the bridge becomes functional. A sigh of relief, you may say. Thank you very much, Honenge. And now to digital technologies. 33 Nigerian digital technology startups made stellar appearances at the just concluded Gulf Information Technology Exhibition in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. They locked horns with other innovators from more than 120 countries, emerging global best and second global best. Correspondent Chindima Ndubisi, who covered the event, gives us an overview.
It was a convergence of innovative digital technologies, enterprises and markets at the 42nd edition of the Gulf Information Technology Exhibition, GITEX Global 2022 in Dubai, a platform for innovators to showcase digital solutions to everyday human needs. More than 5,000 organizations and 120 countries participated. An aspect of this gathering is the widely contested North Star Supernova Challenge pitch competition, where upcoming innovators vying for prizes build solutions using metaverse, sustainability, quantum and cloud computing, fifth generation network, blockchain, artificial intelligence,
it is nice to meet you, Adam,
and future mobility technologies. Nigeria's startup squad was at the global stage with mind-blowing solutions on energy, waste management, entertainment, logistics and more, showing the world that Africa, Nigeria in particular, is a force to reckon with in the global startup ecosystem. 30-year-old Khalil is one of them. Within 4 months, he developed an online delivery mobile application different from traditional delivery system. It comes handy for urban dwellers who have limited time to shop and small and medium enterprises seeking to improve sales. SharpSharp is an online mobile application that collects delivery orders across multiple online order platforms and allocates drivers to promptly make deliveries such as food, groceries, medicines, and many more. It was this innovation that fetched Nigeria the first position on the mobile and smart cities category. It beat Datums of India to bag the $8,000 cash prize.
The fact that we have a good understanding of the African market and we're building tailored solutions, that serves, the African needs. And also we're empowering other SMEs. It's not just about us, it's about the economy as a whole.
Live Big application built by 24-year-old Shadrach using blockchain technology is one of the 9 startups that got to semi-finals. Contents of upcoming artists and producers are uploaded on the app and monetized by converting such to tokens that can be digitally purchased.
NFTs, non-fungible tokens, by converting your content into tokens, you can actually sell those content to anybody globally that is using our cryptocurrency. Nigerian government, CBN just launched the eNaira. With eNaira, you can get to actually buy your favorite music and enjoy it.
The competition had 13 categories. There is an interesting aspect here. No one is a loser. Startups that didn't make it to the victory list still end up clinching partnership deals or outright buyout, as is the case with First Founders startup that sealed a $10 million partnership deal. The application provides both skills and funding support to early stage and underrepresented innovators.
The resources and capital that they need to be able to build their ideas into minimum viable product, so that they'll be attractive to investors to invest in.
I'm highly impressed. Our economy in Nigeria is a private sector economy, not public sector economy. If you look at it, in 2022, the entire national aggregate is not more than 7%. 93% of our economy being controlled by the private sector. So it is because of this, the only way to go is to support our young companies to grow.
The popular opinion is that this edition of GITEX Global is the nation's best outing. The country's potential of becoming a global ICT powerhouse in no distant time and status as best startups investment destination in Africa unarguable.
To talk more on the event is NTA's ICT correspondent Chindima Ndubisi. Hello, you're welcome to the correspondence.
Thank you very much.
And glad to have you back from Dubai. So now, Nigeria's profile is rising high in terms of technological advancement, especially in the international community. Can you share with us your experience?
Gulf Information Technology Exhibition Global 2022. It was an exciting one.
Okay.
About 120 countries participated, and then over 5,000 companies came to that exhibition.
120 countries.
Yes.
Okay. And I heard you talking about Nigeria as global best. Like
yes. Wow. Actually, GITEX is I call it a marketplace where innovations and the investors meet. There you will see the latest technological trends, the latest inventions in all areas. This year's GITEX focused on metaverse, artificial intelligence and robotics, and so many other things. At this exhibition, there's what is called a North Star Supernova pitch competition. That's where innovations, startups, new inventions are exhibited. And then countries take this seriously. At that competition, out of 800 entries, Nigerian startups made it to semi-finals. Nigeria came with 33 startups. So Nigerian startups made it to semi-finals. 9 startups made it to semi-finals. Then 2 advanced to finals. And at the final stage, one emerged the global best in the area of mobility and smart cities.
Okay.
And that startup is Sharp and won $8,000.
Tell us briefly about the Sharp.
The Sharp technology logistics, if you could call it that. It's all about it's a mobile application that aggregates online orders.
Okay.
Something that is different from this invention is that it's a gathering of SMEs and then drivers that will deliver promptly, sharply. That's why it's sharp. It delivers. Once you place an order, a driver can be picked from any platform, anywhere.
Okay.
It goes across all online platforms.
Okay.
So to deliver that to you, any available driver that is there will just immediately address.
From what you are saying, this feat has really improved the image of the country in the global sense.
Yes. Another startup that made it to the finals, Flows. So it was competing with another company, another creation, but at the end of the day, it came second best.
That's so good.
So it's good. It was a good outing for Nigeria. Nigeria's technologies, digital technologies, were recognized as not only a comment that it has what it takes.
Yes, this is really, really heartwarming. You can see I'm just full of smiles listening to you with all these breakthroughs. Really heartwarming. So now, from a reporter's point of view, can you share with us what's your take on from that GITEX?
My take home from this exhibition is that the future is here, and that future is digital inventions, digital technologies, digital entrepreneurship.
Thank you so much, Chindima, for coming on the program, and thank you for sharing that wonderful experience with us on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. Is mental illness a spiritual problem or a medical condition? You'll get to hear from health practitioners after the break. Don't go away.
Pleased that the Buhari-led administration has made remarkable progress,
like Lafia Transmission Station nearing completion.
Africa does not need charity, but partnerships that will promote the adequate investments
with the cooperation of all.
Sharing firsthand the experiences of reporters on the field as they bring to you weekly the beauty of Nigeria's diverse culture and the economic potentials therein. The Correspondence, development through the eye of the grassroots, showing every Monday at 1:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA, with a repeat broadcast on NTA News 24 and NTA International. Join us.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth Entrepreneurship Support Years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
Welcome back to The Correspondence. There is an upsurge in the number of Nigerians battling mental health challenges of various degrees of severity in Benin City. It is also having its toll on major mental health facility. The Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Uselu, Benin City, where the numbers needing medical attention have increased greatly. Chief Medical Director of the facility says, coupled with brain drain challenge, the hospital is being overstretched. Correspondent Agatha Egwayojo tells us more.
It is now a common sight to find mentally challenged persons roaming the streets of Benin with no one to cater for their needs. This is just a fraction compared to the numbers that are attended to at the popular psychiatric hospital in Uselu daily. Since COVID lockdown, the number has continued to increase steadily. Experts conclude that economic pressure, post-traumatic stress disorder arising from unpleasant situations, especially insecurity, and substance use and abuse are fueling the increased mental challenges.
We are having a very high rate
of inpatient admissions, right? Ordinarily, we've been having higher bed occupancy. Now we are having sometimes 100% bed occupancy. We are looking for beds. We had to expand our bed capacity recently, and I can tell you as we speak, those beds are taken. This is different from the outpatient attendance, which is also spiraling. Every day we see a minimum of 100, between 125 to 150 patients on outpatient basis. We are seeing every clinic day a large number of people coming for the first time.
Add these cases to the many unreported who seek help in religious or traditional homes. The true picture is better imagined. Late presentation owing to myths and beliefs that mental cases are spiritual is aggravating the problem.
Smooth. It's not misbehaving. Even if people say this is the cause, just taken for treatment, say no, my enemies are come again. Or a student get up from the exam hall after reading several days without sleeping or eating, and then during the exam hall start shouting, lecturer, I'm going to deal with you. The lecturer look at him, something is wrong, and say, let's take him home. He gets home, the first thing they do is to take him to one religious home. From there, they take him to one village. From there, they want to take him to one town, the other. He misses the exam totally. Finally comes back after a year, half done. The funny thing is that we now have a lot of problems. If at that time in the exam hall, they take him to the University Health Center, from there they refer him to the psychiatrist to review. I can assure you, in the miss 1 or 2 papers, he will be able to stabilize himself within the few times. Until that exam, and there will be nothing lost.
Rising cost of energy, food, and other daily consumables are challenges the institution is finding ways to grapple with, even as it is raising alarm over exodus of its workforce.
Literally on this table almost on daily basis now, I have to sign acceptance of someone's resignation, voluntary retirement, especially the doctors, the nurses. Those ones are leaving in droves. To get a psychiatrist is difficult, very difficult. So most times we have to train them. Now, both the trainees and the trainers are leaving. In the last 1 to 2 years, I've lost quite a number of my consultants. I came in, I retreated like twice or 3 times because when I came on board, we were so short. We had just 2 residents. It was incredible. We, the consultants, had to do everything. In fact, even now, as the medical director, I run my clinic every Friday. Of the clinical people we took last year, over half are gone already. It's now like a conveyor belt. You train, they go, and it's a shame because we are training these people with funding from government. It's no longer just the clinical staff. I noticed now all other category of staff, they are leaving.
Some of the patients in the facility have been abandoned for as long as 20 years, leaving the hospital to cater for them through goodwill of some Nigerians.
Experts say mental health illness is like any other health challenge that can be cured or managed, and anyone can come down with the illness depending on the circumstances. They're advocating support from family and institutions to help make life easy for them and encourage those who need help to come out fast.
I quite agree with you, Agatha. Those who need help should stop living in self-denial and seek medical cure for as early as possible. That is the way to go. Many thanks. And that concludes the correspondent this week. We thank you for watching. We'll meet again next week on another edition. A reminder that the fight against rape and rapists is still on. Take action and be a star with the NTA. Bye for now.
Nigeria is Africa's most populous nation, with cultural and media influence throughout the entire continent. Though it's facing a conservation crisis. Its wildlife and national parks are highly endangered by poaching and illegal logging. It's the epicenter of the illegal trade in ivory and pangolin scales, with tons of product representing thousands of animals seized in recent times by customs. It has strong demand for illegal bushmeat that endangers animals and risks introduction of zoonotic disease. But Nigeria could be a conservation leader. With Lagos leading the way, Nigeria is updating its wildlife legislation. It's improving its wildlife law enforcement, and it's revolutionizing its public awareness. WildAid and its Nigerian partners are launching the largest ever conservation awareness program in Africa to drastically increase coverage of wildlife issues. Working with government agencies, working with the media, working with prominent Nigerian ambassadors.
Report suspicious activity and wildlife crime.
To promote Nigeria's national parks. To promote wildlife law enforcement. To raise awareness of the dangers of illegal bushmeat. And to promote alternatives. Nigeria can go from crisis to becoming a leader in conservation.
So let's do the right thing. Pray your families and friends to say no to illegal bushmeat.
Keep them wild, keep them wild. Keep them wild, keep us safe.
And keep us safe.
I know I'm crazy.
She's not picking. Her friends with me, ma.
Calm down.
Nollywood. Nigeria's film industry has generated several billions of dollars for the Nigerian economy and forms one of the largest and highest employers of labor in the country. But there is a serious cancer that plagues the industry: piracy.
The major functions of Nigerian Copyright Commission is to enforce the copyright law, and that enforcement means, well, part of the enforcement really means trying to stop any criminal violations of copyright. Basically, the law charged us to arrest, investigate, prosecute any criminal violation, any person who has criminally violated copyright. That is to say, people that, for example, reproduce works protected by copyright, people that distribute those illegal produced work, people that import those illegal produced works. So if you then put a work on the web and it's and they then allow people to download it and you don't have right to do that, it's as much a crime as somebody produces a CD and sells out there in the market.
What they can from them. The industry produces hundreds of thousands of films yearly, one of the highest outputs in the world. However, a lot of income is lost to piracy in the industry, with pirated copies of films getting to the streets for a small fraction of the price just hours after release.
The cost of this new trend, the Commission just sometimes like they set up what we call the Online Copyright Inspectors Unit. So this thing try to solve the web, try to identify websites where illegal works are hosted without authorization, try to track down where links that allow people to download movies, films online, try to carry out investigation, try to find the registrants, those who are behind this, try to make arrests of this act. And it has, and indeed do what we call destructive actions, because there are times you may not be able to find the person behind the website. He can as well be outside the country. So we try to disrupt those websites.
Although Nigerian laws prohibit piracy and copyright infringements, it is nonetheless an illegal thriving business thanks to a combination of inadequate copyright enforcement, a near total lack of prosecution, and corruption in the system generally. In fact, many Nigerians now believe that copyright laws are not enforceable.
The law says all criminal prosecutions are regarded as criminal prosecution. If you must succeed in prosecuting a crime in Nigeria, you must prove your case beyond reasonable doubt. And if you are unable to prove your case beyond reasonable doubt, then that is a problem.
Nigerian Copyright Commission is attempting to rework the legislation that governs how artists, including filmmakers, are compensated for their work and intellectual property.
Thank you very much.
Apart from adequate legislation that will lead to meaningful compensation for copyrights, deliberate and continuous enforcement of copyright laws must be seen to be sustained to reverse the high rate of theft of intellectual properties, which is crippling the Nigerian film industry.
His craft.
NTA, you can't be Deutsch.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTA. You can also
President Buhari makes case for increased Korean investment in Nigeria's economy.
Central Bank of Nigeria to redesign the Naira.
INEC detects 2.7 million invalid registrations.
Good Morning Nigeria today examines the state of petroleum depots in Nigeria.
Now, with the 5 refineries in Nigeria currently, of which 4 plants are owned by the Nigerian government through Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation NNPC Limited, and the 5th owned and operated by Niger Delta Petroleum Resources. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission said that between January 2021 and February 2022 alone, Nigeria lost more than 115,000 barrels of oil to oil bunkering, totaling $3.27 billion worth of crude oil.
Well, in complement of the claim, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, NNPC, explained that about 2 months ago, Nigeria lost well over 7 million barrels of crude oil to shut-ins and facilities failures, among other challenges. Now, that, of course, is a whopping sum of money. If converted monetarily and properly utilized, will add value to the lives of Nigerians. Now, knowing that the nation's economy still hinges largely on the petroleum resources, at least since the 1970s when we had the oil boom, the losses that we've just indicated are reasons for concerns in the country.
You're right, Kisley, because apart from transportation problem, one of the issues raised about the challenges of the oil sector in Nigeria is shortage of petroleum depot, which ought to provide the desired security to pressure and monitor liquids accurately towards meeting the nation's economic and ecological requirements of environmental protection.
Well, good points that you have raised there, Juma, but let's actually break it down. When we're talking about depots belong, of course, to the midstream of the oil and gas sector. The upstream has to do with exploration and production, and then the pipeline network as well as the others. But in terms of the midstream, you have the depots as well as the refineries and the network of pipelines. And the major challenge that we have had in Nigeria in many years now is that the depots that were constructed by the NNPC in different parts of the country to receive refined petroleum products from the refineries, those depots have been largely inoperative. And this is because of the vandalization of the network of pipelines connecting the refineries to the various depots. And this has then given rise to the trucking of refined petroleum products, which are, of course, largely now imported to the country. And when they get imported, they, of course, land at Atlas Cove, which is in the Lagos ports area. And from there, you have a number of tank farms around the Lagos, Apapa, and, of course, areas, and these tank farms began to grow in large numbers in the 1990s. So you have a number of tank farms, not just, of course, in the Papa area, but also elsewhere on the eastern flank of the country, where the refined petroleum products that are imported, of course, are deposited, and then trucks then go in there, and of course, begin to take them to different parts of the country. So the depots are idle, and they are not being utilized. The pipelines that should take petroleum products, whether from Atlas Cove or from the refineries, those pipelines have been long since vandalized and they are not being utilized. This is one of the reasons, of course, that we continue to encounter scarcity of the products, especially once there's a disruption in the supply chain, as we witnessed, say, in the Federal Capital Territory.
Which is still going on. Following the challenges around the flooding in Lokoja area, as well as the collapse of a part of the bridge on that axis. All right, so that's the subject matter of our conversation this morning. We shall be taking a look at the state of our depots and what is being done with regard to those depots, of course, plus other issues around the upstream sector and how these depots will be fed. My name is Kingsley Osalolo. I welcome you to today's edition of Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. And I am Juma Yusuf, joining my colleague Kingsley to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria. But don't forget, we have our complimentary segments. Well, let's bring you the news now with Tessie Omeri.
I was just wondering, just before you bring in Tessie,
yes.
Tessie, you and I were not on site yesterday.
No.
Well, of course, it was Killian, and the gentleman who took the news was also our colleague, Musbah Adan Wahab. And somehow, Musbah, at the end of the news, was trying to pull my legs. And he was saying, look, how do you explain the whitewash of Real Madrid in one of the matches of the round robin stage at the Champions League? I was wondering. I said, look, Kylian and Musbah, they are not here now, but I'm sure they will have the earliest opportunity to defend themselves. Are you redefining the meaning of the word whitewash? Because the match ended 3-2 in favor of Leipzig, and Real Madrid had already qualified for the knockout stage, and of course the team was injury hit. So I'm raising this because how then will you describe what happened last night? I mean, the Catalan giants, Barcelona, were humiliated at home, 3 goals to nil.
3 goals to nil. The smaller clubs are coming up. They're buying better players, I should think.
Big time.
Yeah, big time. And before you know it, all Real Madrid will be down just like the rest.
No, you can't.
I commend you, great football fans there. Good morning, Kingsley, and good morning, Jumai. Hello, Nigerians, and here is the morning news. The federal government says it will sustain its humanitarian efforts in giving assistance and support to victims of flooding across the country. On security, Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says Nigerians should refuse to be moved by any news of security threats, as the federal government is committed to protecting the lives of those living within Nigeria.
What is happening today is happening all over the world. Let's join hands together with all governments at every level, with all NGOs and private sector. This is a human affair, is a disaster which does not make a difference between one party or the other, or one part of the country or the other.
And all things being equal, refined petroleum products will be obtained by marketers from Kaduna Refinery by the middle of next year. President Muhammadu Buhari gave this assurance in Seoul, South Korea, at the signing ceremony of a letter of intent between the NNPC Limited and the Wu Engineering and Construction Company for the Kaduna Refinery Quick Fix project. Nigeria and the Republic of South Korea have resolved to deepen and enhance the highly beneficial relations between the two countries to a level that better reflects the sizes of their economies, shared democratic values and dynamism of the industrious people. This formed the major highlights of the high-level talks between President Muhammadu Buhari and his South Korean counterpart, Yoon Suk-yeol, in Seoul.
They see Nigeria as a very big and a very important market, and so I think that the takeaway clearly is going to be a greater Korean investment in Nigeria, and they emphasize the importance of Mr. President being here personally and engaging with all these actors, the economic actors as well as the political actors, to be able to showcase, really what Nigeria has to offer in these areas. And I might add that there were also some Nigerian entrepreneurs and business people who were also here meeting with their Korean counterparts. So I think the clear and obvious takeaway is this increased investments, Korean investment in Nigeria. They spoke about the measures that are being taken, including some agreements that will be signed to, enable increased trade between our two countries.
And coming back home, Nigeria will have new Naira notes to replace the current ones. Beginning from December 15, 2022, the currency, which is to be launched by President Muhammadu Buhari, will run from December 15th to January 31st, 2023. Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, says banks within the window will receive deposits at no charge during the transition period.
It is therefore no longer tenable to continue with business as usual, especially given the continually evolving circumstances that would impeach the optimal performance of our naira. Furthermore, we believe that the redesign of the currency will help deepen our drive to entrench cashless economy, and it will be complemented by increased minting of our e-naira. This will further rein in the currency outside the banking system into the banking system, thereby making monetary policy more efficacious.
The notes affected are 100 Naira, 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1000 Naira. Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has detected 2.7 million invalid registrations, while valid registration stands at 9.5 million in the just concluded continuous voter registration exercise, bringing the total number of voters for the 2023 elections to 93 million. Chairman of the Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, disclosed this during an interface with political parties, while also cautioning against hate speech and inciting language during campaigns. Professor Yakubu also confirmed that 23 INEC staff will face prosecution for involvement in fake registration of voters. Nigeria is heading to greatness if all citizens are sincere, honest, truthful and committed to bringing about comprehensive changes in approach to dealing with one another. At a one-day session to discuss nation building in challenging times, some prominent Nigerians say there is need to carry out an evaluation of the nation's security instrumentality to determine its viability. The session held in Uyo was put together by the Forum of Former Deputy Governors of Nigeria.
The first point of that vision is ensuring unity, ensuring that we live above partisanship.
And I believe in Nigeria, we know that this thing will change. In 2023, we demand a leader who has the law for the people.
And that's the news for now. Good morning, Nigeria continues with Jumai and Kingsley after this break. Stay tuned.
It's scary, isn't it? Putting yourself out there, ignoring the voices telling you can't. Will you step aside, or will you go for it? After all, what's the worst that could happen? So, keep trying. Don't stop. Believe in yourself and go for it. Our data, the growth in many variants to nourish you every step of the way.
Never let her number down. Just
No phones at the table, please. Esther. I love you too. Don't forget I'll pick your phone.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
The Digital Switchover project, which is commonly referred to as DSO, which entails television channels switching from analog to digital broadcasting. It's one of the biggest projects embarked upon by this administration. Branded as free TV, offers its viewers about 60 digital channels, including sports, music, movies, and news. The federal government has licensed about 23 set-top box manufacturers. 7 of them for production, employing several thousands of people. We made it now compulsory for all stations in Nigeria to only broadcast productions made in Nigeria for products which are produced in Nigeria.
The Ministry of Police Affairs under my watch has been instrumental to strengthening the Nigerian police force to tackle challenges in the internal security architecture of the nation. To effectively achieve its mandate to protect lives and property within Nigeria, the Nigerian police have deployed operational intelligence and the ICT-based apparatus to tackle and stem the tide of crime and criminality. Some of these efforts include the maximization of the Force Intelligence Bureau, Intelligence Response Team, and Special Tactical Squads, through digitalization of emergency contacts via the NPF Rescue Me application for emergency response at the top of a button.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. It's time for business news, and we join our correspondent, Alika Okpanachi Arwa.
Godwin Emefiele disclosed this in Lagos at the first anniversary of the Central Bank Digital Currency, CBDC. The currency, unveiled in October last year, is seen as one of the bank's major moves to counter the aggressive adoption rate of private-issued digital currencies. Emefiele said the e-Naira has proved to be a success story 12 months into its introduction as a tool for deepening financial inclusion and providing a safe alternative to unregulated digital money. According to the data shared by the CBN boss, 919,000 customers have been onboarded on the platform, with 700,000 transactions recorded in the period. The Apex Bank also minted a total of 3 billion in Naira and integrated 33 banks in the period, allowing almost all depositors to transfer from the bank accounts to digital platforms for transactions. Of the total of the 3 billion in Naira, 2.1 billion was issued to financial institutions, while over 3,305 merchants across sectors and regions have registered on the platform. The current daily visits to the website is pegged at an average of 2.5 million. Meanwhile, to bridge gaps identified in Nigeria's fiber infrastructure rollouts, the federal government is hoping to launch the national Dig Once policy in the country. With the December targets, the federal government said it was giving the final touches to the proposed documents. The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Issa Pantami, made the disclosure in Lagos at the just concluded 4th edition of Policy Implementation Assisted Forum (PIAFO) on Dig Once policy and fiber strategy in Nigeria, with the theme laying the foundation for ubiquitous broadband for Nigeria's economic breakthrough. Already, Nigeria is said to have about 120,000 kilometers of fiber shortfall after having deployed over 40,000 kilometers. With business news, Alika Opanachi, Arua.
Thank you, Alika. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Next is newspaper review.
Right, we have 4 newspapers this morning, the Punch, the New Telegraph, Daily Trust, as well as Blueprint. So let's take the headlines that are common to all the papers this morning, beginning with the Punch. Incidentally, the Punch doesn't lead with the story of the redesign of the Naira. Instead, it focuses on voter registration ahead of the 2023 elections. But above the nameplate of the Punch newspaper, flooding, experts warn of epidemic as corpses float. DSS arrests terror suspects, US evacuates non-emergency staff. CBN plans Naira redesign, to counter counterfeiting and kidnapping. EFCC rearranges suspended AGF, that's Accountant General of the Federation, over 109 billion Naira fraud. 2023, Lagos, Kaduna, Rivers and Kano voters top INEC register. 2.7 million illegal registrants deleted, 23 registration officers under sanction. INEC to display register from November 12th to 25th, 6 corporation. Buhari eyes over $1.3 billion trade with South Korea. And you can see the photographs there from South Korea. The president, of course, is in Seoul to attend a World Bio Summit in the South Korean capital. And the bilateral talks yielded those photographs as well as the headlines. Election postponement may lead to constitutional crisis. That's Commissioner Okoye. Lassa fever cases hit 941 and death toll 173. Extradition, pay Kano, that's Nnamdi Kanu, 500 million naira, Abia court orders federal government.
Well, let's get to the Daily Trust newspaper just below the masthead. FG says America also unsafe as US orders evacuation of citizens from Nigeria. Details on page 25. National carrier government operators disagree over a partnership with Ethiopian Airlines. Details on page 5. IDB expresses concern over high number of out-of-school children in the north. You find that on page 6. And the headlines in the Daily Trust newspaper: why CBN will redesign currency notes. With riders says over 85% of currency in circulation outside banks. EFCC commends initiative to clamp down on hoarders. Experts: corrupt politicians keep money in dollars. That's coming from experts, and decision is good for the economy. You can see the illustration of evolution of the Nigerian currency there. You can just go through it and get more details. At the bottom plate of the Daily Trust newspaper: petrol scarcity worsens in Lagos, Abuja, Kano as marketers blame depot price hike. You find details on page 18. Return Kanu to Kenya, pay him 500 million damages, court orders FG. Stay-at-home husband sues wife for not disclosing her salary. I'll take that again. Stay-at-home husband sues wife for not disclosing her salary. You find details on page 16. We need 30 years of consistent investment to control floods. That's coming from the minister. And from the Blueprint newspaper, below the masthead, 2023 registered voters now 93.5 million. That's attributed to the Independent National Electoral Commission, with riders to sanction 23 registration officers for unethical conduct and vows to track, prosecute parties, candidates violating campaign laws. And the headlines: as CBN plans new Naira notes, EFCC hails Apex Bank's move to tackle inflationary trends, with riders pledges to clamp down on currency hoarders. Higher rates of counterfeit 500, 1,000 reason for new notes. MFLA: redesigning our currency good for nation's economy. That's coming from experts Oaleke Idakolo. Policies will be counterproductive. Elias: Nigeria at risk of deeper debt crisis. We have activated mechanisms to tackle the problem. And the tight piece of the picture story you see there: Nigeria safe won't be stampeded by US-UK government's travel advisory. Muslim tickets: parties will live with consequences of their choices. That's coming from Reverend Kuka. And at the bottom plate of the Blueprint newspaper, Lagos, FSS, Lasema orders safe WAEC officials from Refinery. You can see the picture story there of the building when it was on fire. At the bottom plate, FFK to Obaseki, Atiku will destroy Nigeria, not Tinubu. 21st National Sports Festival, Buhari flags of touch of unity. Court orders IPOP leader Kanu 500 million over arrest and detention. Buhari hails election of Nigeria's Owodimi in Canadian city. And Dangote Refinery will transform downstream sector. That's from the Ghana Petroleum.
Okay, well, so very quickly, we'll look at some of the headlines from the New Telegraph window page. New Telegraph. Fuel scarcity. Vessels refuse to discharge products over cash crisis. And then below the nameplate, former PDP spokesman Olisa Metu resigns from party, says he's retired from partisan politics. 2023, more trouble for PDP as Mimiko rejects nomination as leader of campaign. Over 10,000 Cameroonian refugees in Benue, that's according to the governor, Tom, laments rising influx of IDPs and displaced flood victims. Now, other headlines there. Nigeria grossly under-policed with fewer than 500,000 personnel. That's according to the PCRC, and won't meet up with even 50,000 yearly recruitment. Abiodun, that's governor of Ogun State, paid 3 billion naira for gratuity, not 70 billion naira, according to pensioners. Abiodun, governor of Ogun, paid 3 billion naira for gratuity, not 70 billion. That's a claim by pensioners. Strike. 3 academic sessions running currently. That's according to JAMB. Puts varsities on notice against jumping academic sessions. Insists admissions from 2020 to 2023 not elapsed. Scientists develop drug that blocks gene that is central to cancer growth. That is the last headline we are taking from the New Telegraph newspaper. I think that, of course, one of the biggest story there has to do with the announcement yesterday by the central bank that it will, on the 15th of December this year, introduce or release the redesigned Naira and the denominations that are affected in terms of the banknotes, 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira. And that from December 15th, these new notes will be in circulation, and up until January 31st, 2023, the current notes will of course be legal tender, and thereafter they will cease to be legal tender. You've already read some of the reactions, excuse me, of a number of stakeholders hailing the central bank for what it is seeking to do. I just have a few concerns. I just have a few concerns, and I'm sure that some other Nigerians will also have their own concerns. The rationale for the CBN seeking to do what it wants to do, well, it's in charge of monetary policy. The rationale is understandable, but let's get a few things clear. Look, why do we always like to set deadlines that we know we cannot meet? December is a very busy period for Nigerians. Is that when they will now start going to the bank and then start depositing money and getting new ones, and you are saying that the banks will get the new currencies on the basis of first come, first served? So it will lead to hoarding. Some persons will have the new notes, others will not have the new notes, and by the time people are returning to their various stations from the Christmas and New Year festivities, which is mid-January, the first task they will be faced with will be to go and be queuing, and they'll be changing old notes so as to meet the January 31st deadline, after which the existing currency notes will cease to be legal tender. I'm sorry to say that deadline is just not feasible. A simple thing, for instance, I say simple, as registering for your PVC. You saw the campaign that went in to say, look, you have to extend the deadline because more persons are coming out. In the first instance, I doubt if we have the infrastructure and the capacity to change all the notes that people may want to change between now and January 31st, 2023. So you're just going to create chaos, and the next month, in about 3 weeks, you have the general elections kicking off. Sometimes, some persons might read some minutes into this to say, look, I hope you're not, stirring up trouble in order to create confusion over the elections, and so on and so forth. In 1984, we had a currency change in this country.
It was,
and it was chaotic.
A lot of people lost money.
They lost money, and for many weeks there was scarcity of the current notes. Students who were in school had to be running home to come and be getting money from their parents because the banks on their campuses or in their schools didn't have the funds. What was Nigeria's population at that time? Are you getting my point? What is Nigeria's population today? That you are saying that the currency change must occur in the next, if you stay within 6 weeks or 8 weeks. Look, is this realistic?
No.
Now the UK changed the pound from the paper banknotes to polymer notes, and you can see how long it took them, the deadline, to say, look, turn in your paper notes and then get the polymer, and after a particular deadline, it will no longer be legal tender, but you can still deposit it with your banks.
With your bank.
So, but in this case, you are saying with effect from January 31st, 2023, it means that this is an economy. This is an economy that is largely cash-based. It's an economy where you have the literacy rate is low.
Slow.
It's low. Are you going to cope all the naira notes in the rural areas? Whether they are with smugglers or with kidnappers or with politicians who are buried them in Sokawe, assuming the flood has
money in dollars, so it will definitely not affect them that much as much as it will affect the common man, the Nigerian.
Those who had naira have changed them to dollars. How does this policy affect them? If you want to redesign the naira notes, fine, redesign it, but at least let's give a reasonable timeline. We have a number of activities.
Like 6 months.
We have a number of activities for next year, general election. After that, you have the population census. So, and then ask yourself this question. In the last 10 years, Nigerians have been going to the bank every now and then for one thing or the other. If you recall, your bank account numbers were not uniform.
No, they were not.
You had some banks will give you 12 digits, others will give you 10. Everybody came with new bank, which means 10 digits. So you have to be going to your bank to go and sort that one out. It took a while. Then later, BVN, you will stay on the queue for many days and so on and so forth. You lose man hours. Now it will be the turn of going to change banknotes. The chaos of 1984 in changing the naira notes ought to be a lesson. And if you recall, that change of the naira notes in 1984 led to one story that will never go away. That is the Pikitimi suitcases. So I think that this is something that is to be done. It is a good idea. Let it be done in terms of proper spacing. In 1973, when we had the naira replacing pounds, shillings, and pence, the naira and the pound, shillings, and pence still ran concurrently for 6 months. In 1973. So why you just wake up now, festive season, election coming, census coming? Sometimes
it's a critical period.
I don't know, Jumai.
Well, time has run out, Kingsley. We cannot talk about all the issues because this is a burning issue now, and a lot of Nigerians are concerned. We'll take a break. When we return, our conversation will begin. Do stay.
Wake up the champion in your child. Give them energy to go further. Milo Active Go and the natural goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa helps wake up the champion in your child. Milo!
We are all Nigerians. Against all odds, we shall and must remain united. We may have our challenges, our problems, and setbacks. However, together we shall overcome them all. What doesn't break us shall make us stronger. This is the mindset that shall bring peace, progress, and prosperity to our beloved country. Do not let tribal and religious sentiments govern how you think, act, or feel. Don't be influenced by those who want to destroy our precious national unity. Everybody who's a Nigerian is your brother and your sister. This is the mindset of the new Nigeria. It is also the mindset that we must all adopt. Let us support each other in creating the Nigeria of our dreams. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
The violent and criminal activities of indigenous people of Biafra and its armed wing, the Eastern Security Network, present the greatest threat in the Southeast zone. However, kidnapping for ransom, armed banditry, communal clashes have been some of the security threats that bedevil the region. Accordingly, joint military operations are being conducted in the Southeast to overcome the threats and to entrench peace and security. The military effort, in collaboration with other security agencies, are achieving the set objectives, which are the defeat of the threat and restoration of peace and security in the region.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
to every politician as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise. Remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
What we face mostly now are flashes of cowardly attacks from the rump of groups that have been routed in one location or the other, moving to another to give the false impression that they are still strong. Our ultimate goal is to eliminate them altogether and restore total and lasting peace over every inch of the Nigerian soil. Sounding tall, we take it home. We are determined to ensure that every inch of the Nigerian soil is safe. That determination is there. The order has been given. But we shall continue to protect the lives and property of Nigerians and foreigners in our midst. We shall continue to work for the peace of the nation and deter elements that constitute threats to the people. We shall bear the full powers of the government to secure every inch of our land. We shall not rest until peace is fully restored to Nigeria.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Now, as a prompt for our conversation, which is a discussion around the state of petroleum depots in the country, let's listen to this background put together by our correspondent, Abu Salam Jibril.
For over 3 weeks now, residents of the Federal Capital Territory and its environs have been spending hours on queues as a result of the scarcity of premium motor spirits, PMS. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has since attributed the current scarcity to the inability of fuel trucks to have access to Lokoja Road due to the floods. Yesterday, Lagosians also woke up to the unavailability of the product as queues emerged in filling stations. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, attributed the scarcity to unsteady supply of the product in the past few days. Some experts in the oil and gas industry have blamed the persistent fuel scarcity in Nigeria to inequitable distribution of petroleum products, even with the establishment of refineries, about 17 storage depots and pipelines interconnecting them. While the refineries are situated in Port Harcourt, Warri and Kaduna states, the storage depots are located in Aba, Enugu, Makurdi, Yola, Benin, Ore, Mosemi, Ibadan, Ilorin, Suleja, Minna, Jos, Gombe, Maiduguri, Kano, Gusau, and Satellite Town in Lagos State. Experts insist that within the past few years, insufficient supply of petroleum products, industrial, transport, and agricultural sectors is responsible for the occasional unavailability of the product in the country. They are calling for proper scheduling and distribution of the product through pipeline networks. Now, are these depots actually enough to serve the country's needs? What is the state of their functioning capacity? Should there be a government-private partnership in the operations of depots towards ensuring their effectiveness? Guests on the program will be speaking to the state of petroleum depots in Nigeria shortly.
Thank you, Abdul Salam. And to do justice to the topic, we have Alhaji Shuaibu Muhammad. He's Ipman Secretary, Abuja, Suleja, NNPC Depot. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, viewers. Good morning, Nigeria.
We also have Dr. Abubakar Alkali. He's a university lecturer and analyst, oil and gas and the environment. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, and also joining this conversation via Zoom, we'd like to welcome Engineer Emeka Ene. Engineer Emeka Ene, of course, is a regular on Good Morning Nigeria. His baby face is now always changing. Engineer Ene, of course, is group is a petroleum engineer, of which he is now chair of the Society of Petroleum Engineers of Nigeria. Again on Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. I never forgot one of the things you mentioned. I think my colleague and I were all set that morning. You were here in the Abuja studios with us. You were talking about the gender of crude oil. And you said that there is a sense in which engineers often assume, and rightly so, that crude oil is effeminate, that you have to tease it like you would a wood Marisa money program, so we'll get into details, because it comes out in tiny streams almost like real. Engineer, I hope I'm correct.
Elegantly. That makes it feminine, actually.
Yes, indeed.
All right, thank you. We're glad to have you. But today, of course, we know that you have a broad range of experience in the oil and gas sector, and observers, consumers, and some stakeholders have been complaining about the disruptions, particularly in the midstream and the downstream sectors. We saw the disruptions in supply of petroleum products, say to the Federal Capital Territory and some of the states up north following the flooding at Lokoja, and it's still persisting. And there have been concerns around the state of the depots that NNPC constructed many years ago, which now appear dysfunctional. What's your take generally on products distribution in different parts of the country? Those will appear to be a problem that isn't just going away. Engineer?
Thank you very much. Yeah, you see, the thing is that when it comes to distribution of petroleum products, or indeed any system, there are some fundamental challenges that the industry has faced and continue to face. And when we try to fix it with temporary fixes, we just still run into problems just down the road. I mean, I call them the 3 I's: the instability in policy and regulation being the first I, the infrastructure problem, which you have quite slightly alluded to, is the second I, and of course the third I will be insecurity, which seems to be pervading across the country. Now, the business model for distribution of petroleum products is also an issue. Issue of regulation, the PIA subsidies impact this thing. The model of having a centralized distribution system, as we currently have, more or less, where things have to be distributed by truck, as opposed to the original concept of having them being distributed by pipeline with regional depots spread across the country. That is a problem. That's a fundamental problem that is going to continue to dog us in trying to solve the issues of distribution of petroleum products. So at the core of it, of course, is the fact that the PIA anticipated a model of deregulation, and that the delay in deregulation has also created another construct that makes it very difficult for sustainability. We're dealing with a product that is imported into the country, and we have to bear in mind that we have to pay for it in dollars, and the margins for downstream are very thin. I mean, it's known right from the refinery all the way to the pump. The margins are very thin, and in fact, in the case of Nigeria, the margins are actually almost by regulation. But the practical reality is that not every cost is being provided for. So for the depot owner, the private depot owner today that tries to deal in this business, the cost of logistics supply chain has literally doubled and tripled across the world. So you're looking at costs that are paid in dollars. Even moving petroleum products from Lagos to Calabar by sea is denominated in dollars, but the price, the cost of the product is in naira. And the exchange rates are not, exchange rate winds are blowing against the system. You know, if you remember a few months ago, the price was adjusted to 170, 180 or 185, as the case may be outside Lagos. But that was anchored on an exchange rate of 600. Today, the exchange rate, black market exchange rate is bordering on almost 750. So that's a challenge. And of course, practitioners can't go to the black market anyway. They have to deal with inflows. And so that creates another constraint. So beyond the floods, you're going to find a system, a supply chain that is essentially broken because the infrastructure is aging or even in some cases non-existent. And then you have the challenges of the 3 I's, the instability in policy and regulation, insecurity, and then of course the infrastructure.
Engineer, thank you so much for your opening comment. Let's now come back to the studio where Alhaji Sarabu Mohammed is seated. What is the state of petroleum depots in Nigeria? Let's get an overview.
Okay. Good morning. Good morning, Nigeria. Today, the problem of Nigerian depots is a known issue. The depots today we have in Nigeria, they are more or less obsolete. The Nigerian depot today is working. We have 21 depots in this country. We have 4 refineries. 1 in Port Harcourt, 1 in Warri, 2 in Port Harcourt, 1 in Warri, and 1 in Kaduna. So as we speak today, if you go to all those refineries, they are more or less like scrapped. None is producing. So Nigeria solely today rely on importations. The product or the fuel we consume today in this country are being imported. And the sole importer of these products are NNPC. No individuals can go and import this product because of the high cost of purchasing it. And you can see today dollars is high. So the only sole importer of petroleum product to this country is NNPC. Again, let me come back to your questions. We have 21 depots today in Nigeria. 9 in the north, 12 in the south. As we speak, even the depots, they are no longer productive. No depot in Nigeria today is working. The pipelines are all being vandalized. So the only problem we are facing in this country is that the product will be imported to this country through NNPC, and this product will be dumped in Lagos, Warri. Marketers will go there to distribute all these things. But unfortunately, what we are seeing presently is a very, very precarious situation, because we are all Nigerian. We in the oil industry or marketers, most especially the independent petroleum marketers of Nigeria, IPMAN, as an association, we have been doing our best to ensure, as a citizen of this country, we serve this nation, that the members of this country, they enjoy this product. The supply chain of this country today, 85% are independent petroleum marketers. We are the one at the hinterlands. Today, if you see in the urban area, you see queue everywhere. So the system is bad. The system is bad. Now, let me tell you one thing. The then government of blessed memory, President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, he has done it before. We copied. He went to Venezuela to copy their mode of operations. You can see we have NNPC outlets everywhere. Venezuela today, the system did not work. It has collapsed. And that is the system we are heading to. Now, and that's why every time the governor of Kaduna says they should onboard this NNPC.
Okay, Alhaji Shuaibu, let's before we get into some of the contentious proposals that have been raised, the NNPC fuel stations, those ones came on during the administration of President Olusegun Obasanjo, not during Yar'Adua. They were introduced. I recall that Gordon Obaseki, who was then the NNPC chieftain, started that project. But somebody would just be curious listening to you. We earlier introduced you as the IPMAN secretary of the Abuja Suleja depot. So, if you say 21 depots around the country are not working, so where are you secretary? I believe the Abuja Suleja depot is not working. Where are you working? Yes. I am working in Suleja depot, and Abuja depot. Today, what is happening in this country is a well-known fact. We bring this product from down south to the north. Documentation has to take place. Your TDA zone, for example, if you are bringing product to Abuja now, if you load from any depot in Lagos, you have to report to Suleja depot. So, if people will be there to receive it, there must be documentation, and it is being monitored by DPR. Now they have made them is the Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NNDPRA. They are the one in charge now. NNPC will give us a letter to go and bring this product, and by the time we bring it, they have to monitor it. We take it to this depot, and virtually that is what is happening in across the 21 depot. As at 3 weeks ago, we have problem of flood in Lokoja and Abuja. The water has receded now. So, if you see, we have to tell ourselves the truth. From Lagos to Kauranamoda and Meduguri, the scarcity is persisting now. And I'm afraid festivity is around the corner. We are about going to Christmas. If government did not intervene quickly, I'm scared the way the things are going. Because there are two parallel markets now at the purchasing point in depot in Lagos. Two parallel markets? Yes, because NNPC, they are the sole importer of this product. At the initial, we are buying, the price just jump up. We are buying from this depot at 148.17 per litre. All of a sudden, it jumped to 178. Some depots are even selling 180. So why the people are scared? Everybody will go to this business to maximize profit. Nobody can blame us. That's why you see some of the stations are selling above 200 naira per litre. In some quotas, some are even selling 220, 240. So because this product is scarce, the government has to do something quickly and ensure that this product is available. Now there is panic buying because the product is not there. Last week, a colleague in Gombe called me. He said he struck to Lagos to go and buy fuel and take it to Gombe to service his people there. What happened? When they got there, all these private owners depot, they changed the price. They are not arrested, they are selling in black market. They are not selling at government approved price. Nobody, I don't know what is happening. All of a sudden they will change their price. So this is some of the problem we are facing. Sir.
Well, let's now come to the analyst in the studio. What do you think is going on here now? Can it be explained so that the ordinary Nigerian will understand the situation on ground?
Okay, thank you very much again for having me. I actually want to clarify two things before answering the question. One is this aspect of NNPC being the sole importer since 2015. The fact is NNPC is the sole importer, but it sublets this importation to marketers under an arrangement called DSDP. That's the Direct Sales, Direct Purchase Agreement. So these marketers have access to importation themselves. They import under the license, under the agreement with NNPC, under the DSDP. And the second thing I also want to say is that these depots are actually of two categories. You have the government-owned depots, which are 21, and also the private depots. You see, the private depots. So the fact of the matter is that the whole thing, the whole argument now is about price increase. The marketers want the government to increase the price of this product because they said their landing cost, which is about 440, or ex-depot, which is 148.17, is too high to sell at the regulated price of 175. So the whole argument, as I said, is about the fact that the stakeholders, some stakeholders, the private, unit of these stakeholders want full deregulation of the industry. They want the government to hands off and allow market forces of demand and supply to determine. And the government is now saying, no, look, I have to try to, ensure that price of PMS and DPK, these are the two products that are being subsidized, prices of PMS and DPK are affordable. Because I cannot afford a station where this increase in price, the regulation, they regulate it, and PMS gets to 500 naira, 600 naira per liter. Yes, that's where it's going to. If you allow market forces, if you allow the marketers to determine the price, that's where it's going.
Cars will pack up.
It will pack up, and also that's not even the case, because the prices of goods and services, almost everything, in circulation, is tied to the price of fuel. So there will certainly be spike in inflation. So government is saying, no, I have to regulate this. But the marketers are really pushing to say, look, we want a full deregulation. We want to determine. This is all about, because you see one thing, the private depots, there are these issues of hoarding. The private depots, a lot of them have these products, but you see when these opportunities present themselves, they say they don't have it, and they increase their prices. This is old product. This is a well-known fact. The private depots are the ones that have this commodity. NNPC depots do not have this commodity, and some of them, as the point has been made here, are actually obsolete. So it is the private depots that are running the show. And you see, the whole essence of depots is the product. If you have a depot, even if it is serviceable, active, if you don't have the product stored, then it costs a lot. Okay, so at the end of the day, what I think is the solution is privatization of these refineries. I understand the argument that these refineries are national assets. Well, concurrently, they are national assets, but recurrently, they are national liabilities, because they are not refining anything. They are actually, government is actually spending, every minute on these refineries, and they are not producing. And these refineries, there is a connect between the serviceability of these refineries and the depots. Depots are just storage, facilities, as I said. So these refineries are not working. At the end of the day, where we are going to, the destination, final destination is the refineries need to be privatized. To all intents and purposes, government has demonstrated, the public sector has demonstrated beyond any iota of doubt that it cannot successfully manage these refineries. So why do we continue to keep them? Why do we continue to maintain them when they are not refining oil? Now, when you have these refineries privatized, and you have some of these modular refineries which are really very small in capacity, 30,000 barrels per day refining capacity, and the totality of the refining capacity of these refineries, 4 refineries, is about 70 million. That's maximum capacity utilization, about 70 million liters, which is enough.
Okay, Dr. Khalid, thanks. Some persons would argue that privatization is a long haul. It's not an overnight step that can be taken. And we also must add as an underscore that some of the refineries are currently undergoing overhaul. According to the government, the timetable for the completion has been shifted. It's going to be sometime next year. We understand to complete the repair of those refineries, put them in a functional state, and then probably also put them on block. I want to return. Who's still with us via Zoom? Engineer, well, help our viewers understand this whole tangle, if you may. It's a ticket that one has to wade through to understand it. The private depots, or if you call them tank farms, as I said at the beginning of the program, I saw those tank farms springing up in the Apapa area after Tinkan in the 90s, around Beachland Estate, everywhere, tank farm. And then the functional tank farms the functional depots that we had, controlled by PPMC and of course a subsidiary of NNPC, just gradually fell into disrepair. Is the country now hostage, as it were, to the tank farm operators?
Thank you for that question. It's a very interesting thing, and I think before we can start to answer it, let's look at what happened in the telecoms business. We remember we had the North 9 North and the whole foray into the GSM wireless telephony business in the 90s, and the fact that the number of fixed lines were about roughly 300,000 across the country, and then we had the deregulation of the telecoms business. At that time, the major challenge was the price, that the price was going to get out of reach, which it did at the beginning. The prices were high. But what happened? In 10 years, we got almost 100 million lines. It was essentially transformational, and the impact on the economy was unbelievable, because it created jobs and all the way up and down the value chain. So that's what it gets when you allow some level of deregulation to occur. So if we see that in fact the economic impact of that sector was commendable, we now look at the petroleum products thing, but we're looking at it essentially the same way the grandmother or the mother or the current daughter who is cutting yam in a particular size, and you're asking why, and she says, my mother told me to do it this way, and then you ask the mother, and the mother says, my grandmother said to do it that way. And of course, when you ask the grandmother, she says, at that time my pot was this size, so that's why I cut my yam that size. So we are focused on petroleum products, but we're forgetting that what we want to do is the enabling energy source, as it were, for transportation, triggering transportation primarily, but then if we expand the pie, if we expand our thinking, we can see that if gas is introduced, if methanol is introduced, it changes the equation, it makes it easier. If you introduce regional production of this resource, like regional modular refineries in remote areas, you improve the concept, but you have to create an environment in which investments can come in to make these things happen. Private private depot operators, you can argue, have saved the day. In other words, if there were no private sector operators, we would have been in a worse bind today, because the private sector operators, depot operators, are driven by either supply and demand. They're also driven by profit, the fact that it has to be sustainable. But the model we currently run is clearly not sustainable. The PIA anticipated that to allow for deregulation. So don't really blame anybody. At the same time, don't blame the government-run depots, because they are dealing with a very big challenge. Pipelines were balkanized, and why not? If you have a pipeline going through a neighborhood and you can't find fuel, there's a temptation to just drill a hole in and start to take it. This is just unfortunate, but this is the thing that has driven this process. So if you have PMS being distributed the way it was, very shallow pipelines, because nobody anticipated that people would try to drill and try and get, and then we have had a few disasters as a result of that process. You have a leak, and then of course people start to siphon fuel, and then before you know it, there's an explosion and people die. So at some point you can argue that all the pipelines connecting all these depots essentially, apart from even age, they're moribund. So we are dealing with a situation where we're going gradually to the point where we don't have a sustainable process. Subsidies are huge at a time where we should be putting the money somewhere else, because we have to sustain some level of stability. But that stability can be better achieved if you broaden the product mix and the product sources. We're talking about refineries, the investment in refineries. There's a partnership model can work. I mean, after all, our upstream industry is driven by JV partnerships, even though government is the majority owner of these assets. So you can argue that you can apply the same model to the existing refineries, but also encourage refineries to even components of the refineries to be privatized. So, for example, a refinery has the ISBL, which is the actual physical refinery, but there's the OSBL, outside battery limits, which is the storage, the pumps, and on the outside. Those storage and pumps can serve multi-purposes. It can also serve as quasi depots, in a way, where people can use and store their products in these tank farms. So I think that if we're going to solve the problem, we have to shine our eye and tell ourselves, essentially, create a model that works, where there's some trade-offs. We forget one thing, that across the border, the price of this PMS is selling a lot higher. So if you go to Kano and you say you're selling Kano at prices at 180 naira, for example, per liter, on the other side of the border is 300 naira. So the temptation is there. So therefore, you can argue that the trucks are going there also. Why not? So if we have this situation, we're always going to have this challenge, and we can live with it where we can afford to. But now that it's becoming more difficult to afford, it's becoming clearer and clearer that this is now a problem we have to deal with.
Engineer Ene, I will still stay with you a bit. Some experts are saying that we've been talking about this petroleum issue in Nigeria. We've been talking about finding solutions, but implementation is key also, don't you think?
Absolutely. You see, the thing is that it's a very difficult problem to solve when you're balancing the socio-economic impact of the decisions that you make. I mean, if you look at it, think about this. Right now, you have LPG penetration now growing much faster than even we can keep up. Why? Because kerosene was deregulated, quote unquote. So in the past, when it was being regulated, kerosene was the go-to fuel for people in the rural areas. If not biomass or wood, kerosene was the support system. Now, when you now have an issue where the costs of kerosene now go up, people find alternatives, and LPG becomes an option for people. So if we look at this challenge of implementation, it's a difficult problem for somebody, for example, making a decision that if I take off the lid of the price of PMS, there will be a ripple effect on the population. and therefore that ripple effect could also affect the governance and stability of the enterprise called Nigeria. So it's a very difficult trade-off, I understand. But the truth is that when you create conditions of sustainability, then you incentivize production, as it were. You are going to find that over the long term, it's going to be much, much better. So the solution to implementation is first allow the private sector to do their thing. They're able to be more efficient, because if you borrow money from the bank, the interest rate is running on Sunday, is running on public holidays, so you can't afford to sleep. You have to be working for it. So if you allow the private sector to get involved, deregulate, and broaden the energy mix to include gas as well, you're going to find a solution. I mean, the equivalent gas per liter price at some point was just a little bit above 150 naira per equivalent liter if you run it on gas. I don't know what the price is today, but the prices were always a lot cheaper to run on gas. The challenge is, of course, availability of the product. So incentivize it, creates green highways where point to point you have gas along that line, and encourage people, incentivize truckers, for example, to move their petroleum products driven by gas rather than by diesel, which is more expensive to transport. Create regional things. So I think implementation has to be organic, where a decision is made and the private sector is incentivized to step into the space. But people are ready to invest. What the challenge is instability in policy. For example, there's a PIA and some aspect of it is not implemented because, for whatever reason, you're going to have a challenge attracting capital to the market. So infrastructure is getting old. Remember that even the vessels, coastal vessels now, and even vessels bringing in cargo, only less than 10% of them are owned by Nigerians. So it's a dollar-based thing. So, for example, from Lagos to Calabar, you pay somewhere like $65,000, a day to move cargoes. So you can imagine what that happens to the private depot operator. It's difficult. The margins are very thin. But I think that I agree with you fully that implementation has always been a challenge. But it's been a challenge because we don't have a clear long-term view of what we want to be and work ourselves backwards to what we need to do to get to that point.
All right, Engineer Emeka, thank you very much there for the points that you have raised. I'm going to keep in abeyance in the meantime the issues around gas, because we've had conversations on that subject matter on Good Morning Nigeria in the past. We talked about the gas decade and what it means breaking it down. Some of the years of the gas decade have already gone by, so where are we? That's an issue. You also raised concerns about the participation of local shippers in our maritime subsector, particularly with MTs, let's say maritime tankers. And of course, the Cabotage Act was supposed to have played a role, but again, implementation challenge that we face. But let's come back again to the existential challenges that we face. That's to say, current issues. I'm focusing this time on Alhaji Shuaibu Mohammed of Ipman. Earlier, you said that your members were having issues. They will go to the depots, that's to say, let's say tank farms now. So that in terms of nomenclature, when we say depots, we mean LNPC owned depots, the 21 of them that are not currently functional. And let's say tank farms, these are the ones that are privately owned. There are also like depots that receive imported refined petroleum products, petrol, kerosene, diesel, and so on and so forth. So your members go there, and maybe before they left their bases, the price that they knew they thought they were going to pay, I'm just giving a flat rate, was say 150 naira per liter. So they now get to the private tank farms, and the tank farm operators are saying, no, we are going to sell this to you at 170 naira per liter. So you're having a logjam, you're having a challenge because of the price differential. But here is an issue, because I've had cause to raise it also on Good Morning Nigeria. Because when I asked the Minister of State for Petroleum, and I said, in terms of implementing the PIA, what will happen to PEF, which is a Petroleum Equalization Fund that was introduced in 1973, under which marketers, including Ipman, get the bridging sum. That is to say, the cost of your transporting, of your bridging the products from the ports, that's to say in Lagos, right up to the hinterland, before we started constructing all these pipelines and so on and so forth. And that sometimes your members will make claims on the basis of the differential. And some of your members have also gone on they have downed their tools because they said the government was owing them the bridging claims. So if you have entitlement on the bridging claims, why is it then a problem for you to pick your products and then make your claims later from whatever remains of PEF under the PIA arrangement? It's my question clear? I can break it down.
No, I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your question. But please permit me, before I go to answer your question directly, I want to say something in addition to what engineer just said now.
Sure.
You see, the problem of Nigerians today, refineries, like he has identified, it is the problem of Nigerians because there is a system administrative bottleneck. You see, the then government of General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida that built Suleja Depot and that of Mina and others. You see, Suleja Depot, the way it was constructed, is more or less like a phase 4 depot. It's connected to phase 4 depot. Port Harcourt can give Suleja. The pipes are there. Warri can give Suleja through Auchi. Suleja will give Mina. Suleja will give Kaduna. Kaduna can revise in case of emergency. If at all they are working, Kaduna can equally give to Suleja. Suleja will give Mina, then they will service Abuja. But you can see what is happening. This system is not working. Example again, Singapore today, they have the best refinery in the whole world, but they are not oil producing country. But what happened? They have the best refinery, they produce and sell. Look at Nigeria now. We are blessed with natural and abundant resources, but we are no longer productive. All we are doing now, we rely on importation. Thank you. Let me come back directly to your questions, sir. Yes, the depots, like I said, the 21 depots in Nigeria, they are not working because there are no product for us to dispense to the public. So all we do now, we go to those private depots to buy. We are independent marketers licensed by NNPC to transact with them. But as we speak today, the bulk purchase our members sign with the NNPC. They are more or less obsolete because they are not working. We believe in now we resort now in going down to private depot owners. They are exploiting us. The government is still regulating. So government will ask us sell at this social price. We will go there, we will mobilize our trucks, despite the difficulty we are facing. The dollar now, look at the dollar rate. How much are we buying these trucks before? With 5 million naira, 8 million naira, you fix a sound new motor. Today, as I speak, with 40 to 50 million, you can't even purchase all these tankers. Look at the roads. The roads are bad. We incur losses. We load this product even from Lagos before you go to Suleja because of the nature of the road. Some you lose the entire product and the tanker. By extension, some you lose your drivers. So the roads are bad. We are facing difficulties. And thank you. Why I said
you get paid.
Yes, I'm going there now.
Bridging some, yes.
That is even the mother of the issue I want to go now. The bridging claims. This money in questions, the independent marketer, why we always done tune with the authority of Nigerian midstream and downstream. This morning, we are not asking the government to do budget for us. It is our own money. It is the transport margin being set aside to cushion the effect of our transport, despite our outcry that the margin is not enough. But we are citizens of this country. This is our business. But many of us today, of our members, they are no longer in this business because they cannot sustain it. Some of us will take this pain, we will go and bring this product, it will be acknowledged, But to pay us is a problem. As I speak with you now, some of our members have been paid by these bridging claims. Some cannot even take service their trucks. It is this transport margin we use in maintaining our trucks. We cannot buy new one, and the road contributed to most of these problems.
Why don't you revise or suggest a revision of the template for the payment of bridging claims?
Yes.
Factoring in the infrastructural challenges and the other difficulties that your truckers face on the highway.
Yes, my brother, we are always down tooling with the authority who is scheduled for the responsibility of paying us this money. As we speak, some of our members have been with huge humongous of money. Each time we cried, they only go there to pay us money. From last week, we started seeing one-way bill. A situation where a marketer, you bridge almost 50 trucks. 50 trucks from down south to the north, and they will come and pay you 5-way bill. How do we do? So most of this problem contributed, if at all, when we bring this product, the transport margin we are being paid. It will encourage us. So we are pleading. I'm using this medium to plead with the federal government to intervene. All our outstanding bridging claims should be paid. We are citizens of this country. We want to help so that our members can go back to this business. Some of us, they are no longer in this business, and we don't want to suffer the citizens. So we are pleading with the government to tell the authority concerned to pay us this money. The other time, the road, sorry ma, the road, the alternative route when Lokoja, Abuja road is not, this is the only road that connected the north. When the road is become, they cannot pass it, water has covered everywhere. The only alternative road again, which is Mokwa, Bida, Lapai axis, the roads collapsed. It was even engineer MD PPMC that we cried to, that came to assist us and ensure that most of those roads were fixed so that our trucks that are coming, they can come. Some days, truck will be sleeping on the road. They cannot come because the road has been cut off. So we are not enjoying this business, but we don't have any other business to do than to remain here and serve our country. But honestly, we are in pain.
Yes, while you are saying that you're in pain, Nigerians are also saying that the marketers are also the cause of their problems, because at times you hoard these products. It goes to panic buying. Before we know it, there's a problem, especially seasons like this. Why is it consistently like that the common man, the ordinary man, will have to suffer the brunt of the problem between the independent marketers and the NNPC itself? Why does it boil down to us?
Right. Like you said.
And there are accusations that some of the trucks are being exported to neighboring countries.
No. We have, this is not true. We don't hold product. We don't divert. We don't divert.
Do you smuggle?
We don't smuggle. We have security agencies at the border who monitor that, all these things. So if they think that we the marketers who are smuggling, let them arrest those who smuggle. Where are they? So we don't hold. We have regulatory agencies. It's just a speculations. The reality and the truth has to be told. Let government help this country. If they are going to build the refinery, let them build. We cannot continue to rely on this importation. You want to deregulate. Of course, it's the market forces that drive the economic of any nations. Today, the sole product we consume in this country are all being imported to this country. Are we making progress? Now look at the situation we find ourselves. The situation we find ourselves, the sole importer of this product are NNPC. And by the time the facility owner, this depot owner, they will dump it there. By extension, they will continue to subchange the masses. So the fault is not from the marketers. The government should fix all this problem. We are ready to serve this nation. We are not partner to see that we see the citizens of this country suffer. Now we want to sell. Some of our members, they have moved their truck down south, but the price list has been escalated. You can see even in Lagos there's queue. There's queue. price keep skyrocketing. NNPC will sell at this price to the marketer, but the depot owner 179, 180, some above that. So I'm a businessman. If I buy this and you expect me to come and sell 175, it's not possible.
How do you explain this, for instance, because we had cause also to raise it on Good Morning Nigeria, excuse me, which is, you remember some years ago, and not until maybe about a decade ago, that the practice was outlawed in the far northern part of the country. Filling stations will have no fuel, but surface tank owners, just a few meters away from the filling stations, will have petrol or will have some other refined petroleum products. And the government then said, look, no surface tank should be located anywhere within the certain radius of a formal filling station, where you could go and the pump price is of course indicated and you buy, because the ones at the tank farms, the ones at the surface tanks were much higher. I give the analogy to what we are saying in major cities, particularly here in the Federal Capital Territory. A filling station will have no fuel, or you will have a kilometer-long queue, and then you have boys in jerrycan who are hawking petrol in jerrycans. And the price of the jerrycan, 10 liters, sometimes 4,000, sometimes 4,500. How do you explain that? At all material times, these boys have fuel to sell, but the filling station will have no fuel.
That is what is happening in Abuja now.
Yeah. How do you explain that?
I will explain to you.
Namely,
today, like I said, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, we are duly licensed to operate. Our license is to operate underground tank, not surface tank. And if anybody is operating on the surface tank, the security agencies will arrest that person. As far as we are concerned, we are legitimate business enterprises. We invested our capitals in this business, and we are doing our business successfully. All we are asking, the government should give us the product to sell with the station that we have been licensed to operate. Again, let me come back to it, particularly at the queue you are seeing in Abuja, and you see jerrycans by the roadside. I'm equally disturbed with what I'm seeing. I am disturbed. Although in market forces, when the commodity is scarce, the prices will go up. Now what is happening? We are all Nigerians. We don't need to hide from the truth. Some of these people today, we have those truck pushers. We have these agberos everywhere. This conductor. Some even the commuters. They don't longer do their legitimate business because they know that if the fuel is scarce, some of them will go and queue in the filling station. They will fill their tank and come and siphon this product into jerrycans and stand by the roadside. What are the security agents doing? Is it the fault of the marketers again to come and arrest this jerrycan when they are doing the illegitimate business?
Why are they selling in jerrycans?
Yeah, like I told you, they might not sell directly into jerrycan by the pump attendants, but some of these drivers, they buy into their tanks, they drive their vehicle there and drive out, siphon this product into their jerrycans and be selling them by the roadside. Okay. So the security is going to go on after those people and arrest them.
All right, I like this, right? But thank you very much. It looks like there aren't many of such vehicles these days where you can buy petrol into your tank and you siphon. A number of these modern cars, you can't siphon. In the past, when you were having all these back axle drive cars, you could actually siphon. I remember we had some disaster in the country where there was bad fuel that was imported, 98 or 99. Yes. The mechanics were sucking fuel and a number of them died. So, but for modern cars, even if you put your pipe in, the fuel will not come out unless, I don't know how they do it, but part of what is also observed, Alhaji, part of what is also observed is that it is alleged, and some persons have also seen them, that some of these fuel hawkers will bring in their vehicles in the dead of the night. Yeah. When the filling station is shut down, there is no light, nothing, and then they have a number of jerrycans inside their vehicles and they sell for them at a markup. Daytime, the station is closed, those fuel, but the hawkers are out there with their products. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We'll take a short break, but when we return, we'll continue with the conversation.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
What we face mostly now are flashes of cowardly attacks from the rump of groups that have been routed in one location or the other, moving to another to give the false impression that they are still strong. Our ultimate goal is to eliminate them altogether and restore total and lasting peace over every inch of the Nigerian soil. Sounding tall, we take it home. We are determined to ensure that every inch of the Nigerian soil is safe. That determination is there. The order has been given. But we shall continue to protect the lives and property of Nigerians and foreigners in our midst. We shall continue to work for the peace of the nation and deter elements that constitute threats to the people. We shall bear the full powers of the government to secure every inch of our land. We shall not rest until peace is fully restored to Nigeria.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Finally, the hero of Nigeria's democracy has arrived. He shall usher us into a new phase of development, peace, and prosperity. He is the father of the new Nigeria, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. Welcome to another season of giving Nigerians hope yet again. We are sure of a great future for both ourselves and generations yet unborn. We look forward to your leading us as a nation into our manifest destiny. Though the challenges against us as a people are many, we know that your leadership shall set us on the right path to our greatness. A new dawn beckons on us all, and having you as our president is a precursor to this. Thank you for believing in Nigeria. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
As the 2023 elections draw near, remember, evil prospers when good men and women only wish for peace, but never take a step to make peaceful elections happen. Are you a father? Are you a mother? What are you saying to your children as the elections approach? Have you warned them not to let themselves be used to cause violence? Have you explained to them what the consequences of electoral violence might be? Do your part to make peaceful elections happen. Talk to your children. Protect them from unscrupulous politicians who want to put them in harm's way, while their own children are comfortable at home, within and outside the country. Let's join hands to make 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NOAA.
Welcome back, and this is still Good Morning Nigeria. We'll be discussing the state of petroleum depots in Nigeria, and the conversation is coming out in a way that it needs solutions. Let me come back to Dr. Abubakar Alkali. Everybody in this studio today is talking about a system that needs to work. That needs to work for Nigeria. That needs to work for Nigerians. It's like we take 2 steps forward and we take another step backward. How can we get this system to work so that it can benefit both the Nigerian economy and the Nigerian citizen itself?
Well, the answer is simple. Do the right thing. Simple as that.
What is the right thing to do?
Well, the subject matter, the fuel issue, it's a system and it is interconnected as a system. Now, one of the interconnected units is legislation and enforcement. I see a gap in legislation and enforcement, actually enforcement in the industry. And I always ask this my question. I said, has anybody ever been prosecuted for holding fuel in Nigeria? Has anybody ever been prosecuted for oil theft in Nigeria? So there has to be some kind of enforcement. We know that there is always a problem when you have non-state actors. And with due respect to my friend, the IPMAN secretary, I really think the marketers are not helping matters, because very clearly there are areas where they need to be called up. You asked about bridging. Well, take an example of bridging. Bridging is meant to actually, complement transportation of the product across the bridge. So now what is happening in bridging is that marketers actually make double gain from it. And what do I mean by this? Now, a marketer transports fuel from Lagos to Birmingham Cable, for example, and he's paid bridging claims per liter, from Lagos to complement transportation. And this bridging claim is paid so that the marketer would adhere to the regulated price of 175. This marketer goes to Birmingham Cable, and after, or even before, but he's entitled to it before collecting the bridging claims, or after collecting his bridging claims, he still sells that product at 200 naira. He collects bridging claim and still sells above the regulated price of 175. Is that not double gain? So that is why I said the marketers are not helping matters. And sometimes this is not abnormal in a system where you have non-state actors. Okay, because these are businessmen and they are always happy, are willing. The primary objective is to make money. So how you can block that or solve that problem, fix that problem, is enforcement. It's enforcement. For me, any marketer who takes fuel from Lagos to Sokoto and is paid and sells it above 175 is not entitled to bridging claim. Absolutely, it's not entitled to it. If he sells above, that is his bridging. That 25 naira is his bridging, because he has sold above the regulated. And don't forget that this regulated price, government actually pays about 273 naira on subsidy. They are still paid. Anybody who imports
per liter.
Yes, even more than government pays, more than the money government pays, the amount government pays per liter, to subsidize, to cushion the effect on, is much more than 175, almost 100 naira more. So the issue there is the marketers still collect these payments as it were, or those who import directly collect crude oil in place under the DSDP, and they still sell above that price. Well, I'm not being too harsh on the marketers, but you see, what I'm saying is there should be some form of patriotism in this. And if everybody wants to make all the money in the world, then all of us will not be here.
Yeah,
so on the other hand, also, government has its drawbacks, because this fuel is simply not available. There has not been any, concerted effort. I mean, the government is bringing out policies, but the fuel is not so much available. Now, this gives room for the private sector, to now hold it or to increase prices as well. And that is why I said the issue in contention is the regulation. These marketers want these prices to be open so that they can fix it the way, based on their landing cost, obviously, the way they want. So the government has to, take a decision. As I said again, that's where we're going to. This sector has to be fully deregulated at some point, and then the government has to also look at how they can cushion the effect of this, high oil prices. Already there is an argument that across the borders, fuel sells for 700 naira, 800 naira.
How many vehicles are in the Niger Republic? How many vehicles are in Benin? How many vehicles are in the Sudan, in Chad, in Central African Republic, or even in Cameroon? Niger Republic is said to have its own refinery. So how many vehicles are there that we are smuggling fuel? We've heard this argument. Sometimes we have to probably pinch ourselves to ask whether we're actually dealing with reality. I want to go back to Engineer Emeka, but before I do that, off camera, Alhaji Swabu was explaining something further. He was talking about the Suleja depot and how it is constructed, and I think that would be beneficial to our viewers and also serve as a preface to part of the question I want to ask Engineer. And you also said something about Saudi Arabia and their network of pipelines. Just tell us something more about this Suleja depot and what we are missing out now.
And how Saudi Arabia is getting it right.
Thank you very much. But before I go there, apology to Doctor, because he accused independent petroleum marketer, but I'm happy he make a revisal to answer himself. You see, I have said it here at the issue that the prices of this commodity you are seeing is not our fault. If we are licensed, registered petroleum marketers to operate in this country, every marketer you see has his TTS zone. Like I said, we have 21 depots across Nigeria. Gombe, Axis is liable to Gombe. Maiduguri, Suleja is meant to serve Suleja, Abuja and its environment. But what is happening today? Suleja depot is serving Kogi State, Nasarawa State, some part of Niger, by extension, some part of Kaduna State and FCT. How many trucks? Even only Abuja today. If 70 trucks today as it is, not even the environs inside Abuja is not sustainable. It cannot solve this problem. The numbers have increased. So, it's not our fault. Anyway, you have answered it that the security agencies should go and do the needful. But I have said it in my opening remark here that NNPC, they said they will ask us to go and buy at 147.17 naira. Before you know, you will see this private depot that they dump this product for them. They are selling 180. Some are selling above. We are business people. So if we buy and bring it here, how much do you expect us to sell?
You made that point before. So, we're going to press for time. So I just illustrate for us. Suleja depot.
Your question.
Yes.
Your question. Like I'm explaining. Let me say it again. The proximity, how Suleja depot was built, it was excellently designed to serve the purposes of Abuja and other part of northern Nigeria. Suleja Depot is being designed by the then government of Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. We call it more or less Phase 4 Depot. Suleja is connected to Port Harcourt Refinery. Suleja is connected to Warri Refinery. If there is a problem from Port Harcourt coming to Suleja, Port Harcourt can no longer pump to Suleja. They will close that pipe. Warri will take over. Warri can pump. Port Harcourt can pump, and Suleja will collect. If Suleja collect, it will pump to Mina. Suleja again will pump to Kaduna. If Kaduna does not refine, Suleja will pump to Kaduna. Kaduna will now pump to Kano. Will pump to Jos. Jos will pump to Gombe, Yola, up to Maiduguri. These are how it has been designed. Why Port Harcourt will pump through Aba, Enugu, and Makurdi. So all the pipes today, the network of this pipe, they are just useless because it's not working. They are not working. I have the cost of to travel from Nigeria to Saudi Arabia, from Jeddah to Medina, and from Medina to Mecca. Oh, wonderful. Go and see how the government of Saudi Arabia protected their pipelines. No any bandits can go too close to those barbed wires. You see it's written for the danger. And they protected this pipeline because of the economic importance of that oil. But you know, the revisor is our own being protected.
Good question. All right, let's pause you there. Engineer Emeka, I want to return to you against the backdrop of what you just explained, and also against the backdrop of the call for privatization of refineries, as well as deregulation, more importantly, of the downstream sector as a critical component in the implementation of the PIA. I've sometimes asked myself, there's reliance being placed on the takeoff of Dangote refineries in the Lekki axis. I don't see any pipelines connecting the Dangote refineries to elsewhere in the country. Are we going to be Are we going to be transshipping? And for the point you made earlier about the low participation of the local interest in the shipping business, in the maritime tanker shipping business, this is going to be dollarized. So if it is dollarized, how do we account for that in terms of cost? Plus, what is just said now, we're talking about deregulating. We appear to miss out on the network of pipelines. Yes, the pipelines are old, the pipelines were vandalized in some cases. There appears to be no audit of those pipelines. There appears to be no work focusing on the network of pipelines connecting the various depots, so that if the refineries now, whether in Warri or in Port Harcourt, get activated, and at least they can pump, or rather having these trucks on the road. The only pipeline that we hear a lot about is the AKK, which is gas. Ajakuta, Kaduna, Kano. Is there something that we are missing now that could also hobble the ultimate benefits of deregulation of the downstream sector, assuming that step is taken almost immediately or sometime in the near future?
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, the thing is that from the pure physics point of view, or particle physics, if you're trying to solve a multivariable equation with a lot of unknowns, you can only start to solve the problem by starting with the knowns. So you say start to solve the problem from the knowns to the unknowns, and as everything falls in place, you are iterating, you are experimenting, and you're trying to implement with the bigger picture in mind, trying to solve the overall problem. So as long as we begin to think in short-term quick fixes, we will never solve the problem. We're actually just going to suffer from what I call diminishing returns, where, in other words, it's getting worse. We can also already plot the trajectory all the way to zero, to the point where it just doesn't work anymore, and then maybe solutions come after that. So the thing is this, how do we solve the problem when we have a multivariable problem, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's investment, all of these things together? The legislation, in other words, the rules of the game, to understand whether we're playing football or we're playing rugby, all right, is the law. So that law defines what game we are playing. So the legislation allows investment to go. And if you don't mind, by using the same analogy again, money is feminine. in gender, right? It goes where it can be nurtured. It runs away where it cannot be nurtured. It is the truth. So because of it, if you create an environment, a hostile environment, you will not attract.
Because my colleague wants to hear more of that explanation.
I need to know more about what is being prepared here, and I should be nurtured. Well, tell us more about it and continue.
Yes. So yes, it has to be nurtured. Yeah, and therefore you have to create the environment in which money can be received, and it runs away where it's in a hostile environment. In many aspects of this equation, it is a hostile environment. The distribution of petroleum products is very tough. We talk about moving petroleum products from Lagos to Gombe, for example, and we go through West Village, and we forget that these truck drivers have to spend weeks sometimes just to move products from one end to another. I've been privileged to have been stop at a railway line in Europe or even in the US and see a train move petroleum products across. And I stopped counting when I counted up to 300 of these things passed by, right? For almost 3 miles of tanks moved by. And I said to myself, wow, look at the amount of petroleum products that have been moved, forgetting that they have pipelines all over the place. So it's very inefficient, our distribution, and because it's inefficient, it costs money. And because it's costing money, it's like trying to suppress symptoms without dealing with the root cause. So if we want to, like I said, shine our eye, we have to create the environment in which investment can flow in. And so investment will flow in if the legislation is allowed to work. There's always a bitter pill. There's always a bitter pill, and this is always the challenge. How do we bite the bullet, swallow the bitter pill to allow deregulation to happen? If we keep postponing that day, kicking the can down the road, we are always going to face this cycle, perpetual cycle of boom and bust, which is we solve the distribution problem, we bring down the queues. I can imagine the amount of hard work that goes behind the scenes to maintain the flow of petroleum products. And any small thing disrupts it, it creates a queue. So the pressure is on the regulator right now, NNPC right now, to start maintaining and flooding the market. It's very difficult. And under these conditions where we have limited funds, and it's global, it's going to be really, really tough to sustain. This is just the truth. They solve it for December, but it's going to get worse progressively if we don't find a fix to our business model. We talk about the refineries. We forget that the thousands of workers in those refineries are some of the best refiners on this planet. And the reason I say that is because they worked under very difficult conditions to improvise and master these things. How do we harness that resource to solve the interconnectivity issues that we have with our depots? By creating the right business model to attract investment. I think this is just the key. And we start by the lowest hanging fruit and sustain it and keep moving forward. But we must buy the bitter pill to solve the problem. This current model is not sustainable, unfortunately. And 1 year from now, we'll be back in the same.
Thank you so much for your contribution. We've actually run out of time as usual. Time is never enough for a conversation like this. Engineer is the board chair of the Society of Petroleum Engineers Nigeria and former chairman of PITAN and CEO of the Oil Data Energy Group. Thank you so much for your contribution. We were also joined by Dr. Abubakar Alkali, university lecturer and analyst, oil, gas and the environment, and Alhaji Shuaibu Muhammad is the IPMAM Secretary, Abuja, Suleja, NNPC Depot. Thank you so much for your time on Good Morning Nigeria today. It's been a pleasure. I am Jumbo Yusuf.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I join my colleague to thank you for being with us. Join us tomorrow for another edition of the program, 7 o'clock in the morning. Take care of yourselves. I'm Kingsley Osadolo.
Yeah.
Watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on the link, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile device to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International. Your window to the world.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Welcome to the Nigerian Navy today. I am Jibrin Baba Ndachi. One of the cardinal priorities of the Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awozuberu Gambo, is physical fitness and mental alertness of officers and ratings of the Nigerian Navy as a priority and basic requirement for personnel. On Saturday, October 2022, Nigerian Navy heads its fourth quarter route march. This episode of the Nigerian Navy today shall focus on this and other regular segments of the program. Please stay with us.
The Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awozuberu Gambo, and 43 others were on Friday, 21st October 2022 honored with the Nigerian Excellence Award in Public Service. The award, which was presented by the Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari GCFR, at the State House, Abuja, was also accorded the Chief of Defense Staff, General Loki Rabo, the Chief of the Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, and the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Isaka Olabayo Amao. The award was well deserved for the Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awozuberu Gambo, given his sterling and exceptional leader style and the unprecedented transformation so far witnessed since he took over the leadership of the largest navy in Africa, the Nigerian Navy. As expected, the National President of Naval Officers Wives Association NOAA, Hajiya Nana Aisha Gambo, was there to show support for her husband. The Nigerian Excellence Award in Public Service is aimed at recognizing distinguished public service to Nigeria through contributions by individuals, state or local community in leadership, service, or humanitarianism. On 20th October 2022, the Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awozuberu Gambo, was at the Pavilion Royal, Paris, France, to participate at the 6th Symposium of Chiefs of Staff of Navies of the Gulf of Guinea. The event availed participating Navy chiefs the opportunity to interact and share ideas, experiences, and way forward. The Symposium of Chiefs of Staff of Navies of the Gulf of Guinea is aimed at strengthening maritime security cooperation amongst navies of countries around the Gulf of Guinea, initiated by the French Ministry of Armed Forces. Earlier, the Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awozuberu Gambo, participated at the Euro Naval 2022, a major naval and maritime exhibition in Europe, held at the Grande Galerie de l'Evolution, Paris, France. In the course of the 3-day event, the Nigerian Navy chief had an audience with the French naval staff, L'Admiral Pierre Vandier, on day 2 of the Euro-Naval 2022 on Wednesday, 19th October 2022. Talks were mostly centered around how best both navies can collaborate amongst others. The biennial International Naval Defense and Maritime Exhibition and Conference brought participants and exhibitors from around the world to interact and showcase advancements made in the naval and maritime security sector. And Nigeria, being a key player of the African region, was well represented. Training and retraining are fundamental to the efficiency, proficiency, and success of any professional organization. Constant and continuous training are at the heart of military doctrine and the advancement of the career of military personnel. This is why the military constitutes the greatest warehouse and bank of professionals in most disciplines, including medicine, engineering, science, technology, and not to a lesser degree, even in the arts and humanities. Route matches are part of military training regimen that usually involve long and difficult work by soldiers as part of their training and ceremonies. The route match is thus a fundamental part of basic military training, with a 24-kilometer match a capstone of a recruit's training. It is also routine in operational combat units. Hence, the Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Zubairu Gambo, in fulfillment of this basic requirement, has made physical fitness and mental alertness one of the cardinal priorities through route match and other sport activities. In line with the promise, Nigerian Navy held its 4th quarter route match on Saturday, October 22nd, 2022 in Abuja, and all formations, bases, and units. The Nigerian Navy has pledged to end crude oil theft and illegal bunkering, as well as drastically reduce the number of illegal refineries in the country before the end of this administration. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Zubairu Gambo, made the pledge during the 4th quarter route match of the Nigerian Navy in Abuja.
Chief of the Naval Staff, I want to assure you that the Nigerian Navy will leave no stone unturned to make sure that the entire maritime domain is brought to some level of safety and security, and before the end of the administration, as Mr. President has promised, we're going to ramp up the production of goods, which of course has left nothing.
The exercise commenced from the naval unit Asoko Abuja through the AYA interchange and back to the naval base. Officers and ratings of the Navy serving in Abuja and its environment in their numbers chanted motivational songs as they converged over 10 kilometers route march to keep personnel physically and mentally fit to confront security challenges. Vice Admiral Awards Gambo, represented by the Chief of Policy and Plans, emphasized the importance of exercise to the military, and the Navy is being tasked with assisting in the forthcoming general elections, which is to keep the peace and sanity of the society and ensure all eligible voters exercise their civic responsibility without hindrance.
I wish to remind you all that our country is approaching yet another election year with the kickoff of campaigns by political parties nationwide. The Naval Headquarters has therefore drawn up rules and regulations for naval personnel during the forthcoming election. Apart from exercising your civic responsibility, you will also be expected to assist the INEC and the police to ensure a hitch-free election when called upon. The Nigerian Navy will continue to support you by way of providing all the needs to function optimally in the area of your responsibilities. Additionally, I charge you all to show dedication to duty and unflinching support to our democracy and constituted authority.
On the rate of crime in the maritime environment, Vice Admiral Awazuberu Gambo reiterated the determination of the Navy to ensure sanity is maintained, to keep the economy of the nation strong and stopping all forms of criminality in the maritime environment. He assured the country that the Navy would continue to work with other security agencies to ensure that peace and development take root in all troubled ports across the country. Nigeria has had protracted crisis in its oil sector for several decades, so protracted and intense that late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua had to establish a presidential amnesty initiative to get fully armed militias in the Niger Delta region to give up arms in exchange for state pardon and for rehabilitation, along with other conditionalities.
Today, the 25th day of June 2009, the federal government takes another decisive step in our avowed commitment to bringing enduring peace, security, stability, and development to our nation's Niger Delta.
The appointment of Vice Admiral Awazuberu Gambo as the Chief of Naval Staff on the 26th of January 2021, there has been a renewed impetus to contain not only bunkering, but the entirety of crimes perpetrated around Nigeria's maritime domain and neighboring coastlines. In a bid to stem the tide of oil bunkering, the Nigerian Navy set up a task force codenamed Operation Dakadadabarao. Operation Dakadadabarao has been recording successes on its primary assignment. Within few weeks of operation, the following results were achieved. Nigerian Navy ship NNS Delta deactivated an illegal refining site around Sarah Creek, which had 16 ovens, 16 metal storage tanks, and 3 pits filled with about 500,000 liters of illegally refined diesel, as well as 700,000 liters of stolen crude oil, a generator, and 4 pumping machines in Warri. Another site at Asubo Creek, also in Warri, was discovered with 6 ovens, 12 metal storage tanks, and 5 large pits, all containing about 600,000 liters of stolen crude oil, including 200,000 liters of illegally refined diesel and about 150,000 liters of sludge. Route marches were also carried out across all naval formations in the country. Route marches could also symbolize a show of force by military formations and combatant units, while serving the other purposes of sports, fun, and relaxation. Globally, collaborations is facilitating improved safety and security within the maritime environment and operational capabilities of navies and their respective nations. It has also proven to be an essential tool for an efficient and cost-effective approach to tackling common security threats amongst nations who share maritime boundaries, as well as those who form the entire Gulf of Guinea. The importance of this and the commitment of the Nigerian Navy under the leadership of the Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awazuberu Gambo, in ensuring the safety of the nation's maritime and the sub-region formed the theme of the 2022 International Maritime Conference organized by the Nigerian Navy in commemoration of the 66th anniversary of the Nigerian Navy in May 2022. The conference was well attended by heads and representatives of some foreign navies, one of which is the French Chief of the Naval Staff, who was represented by the French Naval Defense Attaché to Nigeria. For the French Navy, the conference further stressed the need for navies to collaborate and synergize for effectiveness.
My opinion, the more effective message or recommendation we had is to work together. Because as Admiral Gambo explained it, we can't work part from part or navy by navy. We need to join all the efforts. And I speak about African efforts, but Western efforts also. I know that France has a particular part here because it's 30 years we're here with the current mission. So it's a sort of handover takeover. One warship, one French warship in the Gulf of Guinea around the year. So it's a huge effort for France, and I think this French presence is going to be strengthened by the presence of more African Navy around us. I mean, African Navy were still here, but now we can see a sort of enhance of the assets and of the protocols, the way of working together, and we have the architecture of Yaoundé, which is going to be higher. So now we have a huge synergy around the anti-piracy and other maritime offences at sea.
The French Naval and Defense Attaché to Nigeria spoke on the kind relationship that exists between the French Navy and the Nigerian Navy.
We have lots of exchanges, and one example is for this weekend. we have a special event because it's a French hydrographic vessel who is going to do a port of call in Lagos in order to work with the MMS Lana. And the idea is to work 2 days at quay in Lagos and 2 days at sea with 2 ships and the 2 crews, and in order to exchanges and to have some it's a good time to share experiences and skills on everything, and because the Lana and the border, these 2 ships have quite the same equipment on board. So of course maybe the French crew is more aware about how to use these assets, all these tools, and I think it's a good opportunity, yes, to share, yes.
And efforts put in place to further strengthen the bilateral relations between both navies.
I think it's a question of rhythm. I think we need to for example, we have a rhythm of 1 port of call every 4 months, something like that. I think it's important to manage this. And we had a port of call. It was cancelled, but it was scheduled at the beginning of the year. After we had this port of call with the border, and at the end of the year, in November, we are going to send here in Nigeria a huge amphibious ship, the PHA Tonnerre. And the idea is to work, so the Tonnerre is going to do 2 ports of call in Lagos, if Nigeria wants it, of course. And the idea is to work together around the amphibious domain, which is, I think, interesting for Nigeria because they just received the MMS Kada, and I imagine that the Nigerian Navy, it is in the spirit of Admiral Gombo. He wants to use his assets, and so yes, I hope we are going to work together around this amphibious domain.
The French naval and defense attaché to Nigeria noted areas the French Navy can be of support to the Nigerian Navy, especially in the domain of trainings.
One of the most important domain is the training. And the training, yes, and how do you call that? The formation, maybe, to learn more about some capacities, like I said it, but hydrography, but you have also maintenance for the MTU motors, because we use MTU motors also. Maybe other topic like the French language, because it's important to speak with the foreign countries you have alongside Nigeria. That's what I can say.
Until next week, securing Nigerian maritime domain, I am Jibrin Baba Ndache. Onward together.
On your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTA. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International.
Growing through the world.
Latest entrant, latest technology. Welcome to Intel 4G LTE Advanced and experience super fast internet access today. Visit intel.com.ng or any of our stores in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt to get started. Intel.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve their sufferings and who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
Senegal is a country in West Africa, with Dakar being its economic and political capital. The capital, Dakar, lies on the Cape Verde Peninsula, the westernmost point of continental Africa. It is bordered by Mauritania to the north, Mali to the east, Guinea to the southeast, and Guinea-Bissau to the southwest. Senegal also borders the Gambia, such that it nearly surrounds it, as the Gambia is a country that occupies a narrow sliver of land along the banks of the Gambian River, which separates Senegal's southern region of Casamance from the rest of the country. The country also shares a maritime border with Cape Verde. It covers a land area of almost 197,000 square kilometers and has a population of around 60 million people. The state was formed as part of the independence of French West Africa from French colonial rule. Therefore, the official language of the country is French. The Senegalese landscape consists mainly of rolling sandy plains of the Western Sahel, which rise to foothills in the southeast, where Senegal's highest point, which is 2.7 kilometers southeast of Niger, however, are used as Liga Francas for the country. The economy of Senegal is driven by mining, construction, tourism, fishing and agriculture, which are the main sources of employment in rural areas, despite abundant natural resources in iron, zircon, gas, gold, phosphates and numerous oil discoveries recently. Senegal's economy gains most of its foreign exchange from fish, phosphates, groundnuts, tourism and services. Tourism in Senegal can be considered a developing industry, with a number of parks, islands and beaches also in the list of tourist attractions in the West African country. Senegal's Lake Retba, also called Lac Rosé in French, or the Pink Lake, is a famous tourist attraction in the country. It is a lake that is nestled between white sand dunes and the Atlantic Ocean. Located some 30 kilometers northeast of the capital Dakar, the lake is known for its bright pink color, which is caused by the dry season algae that live in the water, known as Dunaliella salina. This algae, when exposed to sunlight, produces beta-carotene, the red pigment found in carrots and other veggies. The Dunaliella salina bacteria, which gives the lake its distinct color, is completely harmless to humans. Hence, swimming and other activities in the lake are possible. The lake is also known for its high salt content, so its high salt content allows tourists to float easily, but they are not the only ones to take interest in the site. An estimated 3,000 salt miners collect the precious commodity which is exported all over the region. This they do for between 6 to 7 hours daily. Therefore, the Pink Lake with its salt content is also a huge source of livelihood. Although the algae that give the Pink Lake its pink color is harmless to humans, the locals still rub shea butter creams in order to guarantee additional protection traditionally.